This is a starter pack to help you become familiar with the character and use some of their best attacks, best weapons at their disposal. Later on, we'll go in depth. Link will be in the right upper hand corner. Right now, though, is the time for the Lion of the Rebellion. Let's get the weapons ready. Left-right combo, 1-2, is a great place to start. 2 fast high attacks. If you don't land this, you're still safe to block after. And if you land the hits, go right into tactical sword, down 2. This attack is slower than a fair amount of other moves, and at the beginner level of ranked, fast highs and mids are mashed out a lot. But on hit or block, tack sword forces your opponent into crouch, where their options to attack you are limited. I'd say this move in Tekken 7 was more on the intermediate to advanced side to implement properly because it's a slower attack. But in Tekken 8, since everything is about aggression and keeping your offense going, you're gonna wanna get acclimated with using this strike off of, let's say, left-right combo. The enemy, despite just being punched in the face, still presses. Tack sword will score you a counter hit, knocking the opponent to the ground. Here's where I'll introduce stances. Lars has 3, but the one we'll check out right now is dynamic entry, forward 3. In this situation we've created here, left-right com, tactical sword. Now we go into dynamic entry, Rimfire, the 2 button from this stance. If the enemy stays on the ground, they'll be flipped over and have to do something about this. Otherwise, you can just hit them again and again and again, and if they stand up and block, Rimfire won't hit them, but you're safe to block after this yourself. And from being knocked down, if ops try a wake-up attack, Rimfire becomes a counter hit launcher. Take note, you have to implement this quickly and avoid holding down, as Lars will go into crouch or while rising moves instead. Lars is a stance-heavy character. We won't be looking at all the options today, but from a knockdown, and your opponent stands up to block, dynamic entry, bow shock is a great weapon. When the opponent blocks this, Lars gets to move first. He will automatically shift into another stance of his, silent entry, where the move lightning thrust is a fast enough attack that it will beat out any button your opponent presses here. And lightning thrust is a heat engager as well. But let's go back to tactical sword for a minute. Let's say the enemy blocks the move, forcing them to crouch down, forcing them to access their while rising moves. Aside from a junk punch to stop you, place Delta Slicer here. This is a trap Lars can set. Delta Slicer 111 is a heat engager. It's hands down one of Lars' best moves, best weapons. This move will be with you for the entire duration of this game. A simple backdash at the start of rounds can help you set this up, and it is a fast attack. You can also interrupt gaps in attack strings. As you play ranked and learn about the other fighters, it will become clearer where you can do this. It's also a good tool against people shadowboxing as a way to move closer to you. Ring Current 2-1 is a beautiful new weapon Lars was just gifted here in Tekken 8. It's a fast attack too, that shifts into a stance called limited entry, where there are only 2 options to choose from this stance. A low called Blasting Smack, the 1 button, or a mid attack, Rising Force, the 2 button. That does chip damage on block. A foolish opponent pressing a button after being hit by Ring Current, whichever option you choose, they'll get hit. A smart enemy blocking after being tagged by Ring Current, they'll have to decide to block mid or low. A simple setup that creates a beautiful situation for Lars. And both these options crush or sneak underneath high attacks. Magnetic knee, back 4. This too can be implemented after left-right comp, or if an opponent starts a long string of attacks from shadowboxing distance, just moving across the screen, hitting nothing. On counter hit, Lars gets straight brutal with his opponent, knee to the chest, chokes him out, and they drop to the ground. And note, not just after hitting an enemy, but if you block a string of attacks that you recognize and the ops continues to press, Magnetic Knee will greet them here too. So we've scored Magnetic on counter hit. Opponent wakes up with the low or mid. Arc Blast, forward 1+2, will make them rethink things. This is a natural mid launcher. No counter hit, anything needed. You get the hit, you get the launch. You can use this against enemies whiffing their attack. After left-right hits and you notice an enemy persist in pressing at the beginner level of play or otherwise, some people just like to press. They just can't help themselves. Storm Axle up forward 4. With this move, you can go fishing for lows your opponent may be prone to throw out. Another natural launcher, meaning no special conditions are needed on hit in order for this move to launch your opponent. It's a mid attack as well, so if you catch them ducking, lightning strikes. Shadow Cutter, down back 4. The move that personifies the daredevil Lars is. Unseeable to the naked eye. Counter hit launcher, forces crouch on normal hit for all kinds of setups. Your life bar gets deleted if the enemy blocks this, but this move is annoying for ops to deal with. Throw out a few of these per round or match, and then switch to some mid attacks. X-Ray, 1+2. Overwhelmed by what's going on? Confused by some attack strings, or really wanting to get that last bit of health off of your opponent? X-Ray is a power crush. It absorbs their attacks and splats the enemy onto the ground. If they still have some health left, hell, you could use this at the start of rounds, but if they wake up attack, you have a spread of weaponry to choose from. Let's say the enemy respects and just stands up. Dynamic entry, bow shot, to keep your offense going. We'll end this section with an unlisted move for Lars called Alert L in Tekken 6, I think, down forward 1. This is a close quarters, fast mid attack that after which look to follow up with Magnetic Knee, left right, Arc Blast, Tactical Sword. As though some of these moves can be interrupted, you're forcing your opponent to face the 50-50 question, which is what Lars seems to be all about now. Even throwing out Orbital Heal if you think you have a read on a low incoming. From longer range, let's see what the line can do. Impulse Plus, back 3-4. At the beginner level, attack strings are just thrown out frivolously. Backdashing away from your opponent can help you set up this move if, again, you notice that shadowboxing trend of just continual pressing into the wind. The range hitting about the max of 3.30 Tekken distance. This thing is damn near a sniper rifle. Electric Jolt, 3+4. Acts much in the same way as Magnetic Knee, but with more range that goes into heat if you get the hit. You can really fish for this strike against ops jockeying for position or just trying to get in. This is a good keep out move. And even up close, if this is blocked, Lars in turn can safely block himself. The other move that really shows how much of a YOLO character Lars is. Lightning Screw, up forward 3. This move can kind of sneak underneath a lot of stuff. And at the start of ranked, more than likely, you won't be punished properly if this is blocked. Be aware, the higher up you go, your opponents will know how to deal with this move if they block it. But it's a natural mid launcher with a lot of crush and evasive properties. I'd caution you not to become addicted to this move, as its ability to evade strikes can make it difficult not to consider all the time. Another annoying move, and somewhat safer than Shadow Cutter, is Arc Combination. Down back 1-3, and then down to shift. This move is even faster than Shadow Cutter, and you can use it to condition the opponent to start ducking. Cue Arc Blast and Magnetic Knee here. You can tag the enemy and back away after hit, or Lars shifting to limited entry here. Remember, both Blasting Smack and Rising Force beat out enemies' high attacks. Since this guy is my main character, the character I play the most, here's cheap move number 2. Avalanche Drop, 3+4, 1+2. It can surprise a lot of people and can go over Heat Burst. And it's a 1+2 input to break the throw. If your opponent does not know that, take advantage. Storm Axle / Orbital Heal is your move to master today. One of Lars' biggest strengths, if not his biggest, is his combo game. And per the matchup, you will start to see certain fighters going for lows all the time. This will prompt you to start scouting out these lows and prod for Storm Axle counter hits, where Lars combos become even more damaging. If this move is blocked, you can safely block yourself after. Speaking of combo game, let's choose some more weapons and look at some combos. These are beginner level combos involving walls. Nothing too crazy, done on mostly 24x24 stages, so you can start seeing patterns in these paths, which will make it easier to add or subtract something later on. Here's one for Orbital Heal. On controller, I bind 1+4 to the R3 button. This makes moves like forward 1+4, power slug, easier to do. Figure out what works best for you. A bit further from the wall, here's an added portion. An alternative to this is to take out down back to 1 and place in Impulse Plus towards the end of the combo. You will be able to gauge if the wall is a bit farther or closer than you thought. Here's one that's closer to the wall. Let's look at Arc Blast. Pretty similar to before, we've brought on a lot from the previous paths shown. I have 1+2, bind it to the L1 shoulder button on my controller, by the way. In fact, here are my controller settings for Lars. Again, do what works best for you. Here's a lightning screw combo. This one travels a good amount of distance, performing full crouch 2, power spike here, down back 1, and then forward into 1+2. May throw you off a bit. Practice this part before moving on to the rest if you find that's the case. Shadow Cutter scoring that counter hit, we can go into something like this. Closer to the wall, cut out down back 2-1, and input down back 1, forward 1+2 instead. The biggest damage combo, ducking an opposing fighter's high or something of the like. This bad boy has high damage output using Tower Cannon. I will mention this move again in future videos. You might find this combo is the simplest one to do, yet the most powerful. Lars has a lot of different combo paths. You can be creative and devastating. Used in tandem with his new 50-50 game plans, the Lion of the Rebellion is more like a demon. Subscribe to the new wave, and I'll see you on the next one. Laters.